timeline of GST. 2004 May it started. There was a task force by the name of Vijay Kelkar Task Force on FRBM. FRBM is Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management. Now, this task force in 2004, for the first time, recommended GST. इन्होंने ही recommend किया था. Recommended GST. So 2004 में it was recommended. It took a lot of time for the government to come up with this system. And दुनिया भर में था. It's not only for India GST आया. GST already पूरी दुनिया में है. In fact, Congress is the पार्टी या यूपीए ने ही असल में जीएसटी पूरा तैयार किया था. पर यूपीए में बस यही था कि पॉलिसी लॉक जैम. That means they came up with a lot of good policies, but they were not able to implement it. So entire GST was prepared by your UPA, but implemented by the BJP. तो वो फिर बीजेपी के हित में आ गया पूरा सिस्टम. और उसमें जो मे बी ये भी था, people were not happy with GST because GST में is basic issues in a sense that the exporting states were at a loss. GST के आने के बाद the exporting states were at a loss because GST is not shared with the exporting state, it is shared with the destination state. So bड़ी exporting states of the country were very vehemently opposing GST. So Congress did not want to get into that trap, but BJP did it. And you always should be in support of a strong government at the center. Coalition government किसी काम की नहीं होती. You can do nothing in a coalition government. But if it's a strong government, they can do drastic changes. So वो हुआ फिर, they came up with this system because they had nothing to lose. They had the majority. 2011 में UPA government introduced 105th Constitutional Amendment Bill. 115th Constitutional Amendment Bill. This bill was meant to implement GST. 115th Constitutional Amendment Bill. GST को लाने के लिए. But it was in the 15th Lok Sabha. 15th Lok Sabha. पर हुआ क्या? The Lok Sabha got dissolved. Bill भी खत्म हो गई उसी के साथ. So Lok Sabha was dissolved and bill also was lapsed. GST bill got lapsed. Now my question is, GST is your simple tax. And taxes are imposed by which bill? Finance bill. I gave you 6 stages of the passing of the budget. Presentation, general discussion, scrutiny by departmental committees, finance bill, appropriation bill, voting on grants, for finance bill, for appropriation bill. So finance bill is a bill that government comes up with in the parliament to impose a new tax. Yeah, to abolish an old tax. क्योंकि abolish करना है, नया tax लाना है, finance bill से हो जाता है. Finance bill can do that. But the problem is, you have to impose GST. Why cannot you impose GST by a simple finance bill? Why are you going to Constitution Amendment Bill? Why are you amending the Constitution to impose GST? Because GST is a tax. Taxes are imposed by finance bill. Government will come up with a bill, impose a tax. Why do you need a constitutional amendment for this? If a central government is coming up with a finance bill, coming up with a new tax, fine, you come up with a new tax. No problem nahi hai. You want to abolish your old tax? वो भी कर सकते हैं. But here you are affecting the states. आप state में घुस रहे हो, state को ITC में ला रहे हो, and you are changing the fiscal relationship between the center and the states. Or when you are changing the financial relationship between the center and the states, it is a basic structure. आपको इसके लिए, it's a constitutional provision. आपको इसके लिए constitutional amendment लाना पड़ेगा when you want to change the financial relationship between center and the state. And because states were going to actually come under the center then under GST, because ये GST Council के अंदर आ जाता पूरा system. That is why they had to amend the constitution for that, because it was affecting the states' financial fiscal relationship. So that is why ये amend करना जरूरी था. But 2011 में they came up with 115th bill, but it got lapsed. Then came the new government in 2014. It took them 2 years, 14 to 16, and they passed 122nd Constitutional Amendment Bill. 122nd Constitutional Amendment Bill 2014 was introduced in the 16th Lok Sabha, and later on, when the bill got passed, it became 101st Constitutional Amendment Act of 2016. ठीक है, बिल पास हो गया, एक्ट बन गया in 2016. Now, this was a changing of the federal financial relationship between the center and the state, and according to Constitution, Article 368, you need a special majority for that. आपको इसके लिए you need 2/3 majority at the center, and as well as half of the states have to ratify it. So this was the concept constitutional amendment के लिए. Now we'll have to look at इस constitutional amendment ने क्या-क्या चीजें amend किया. Subheading 101st Constitutional Amendment Act, 101st Constitutional Amendment Act 2016. What is it that they did? So they came up with a lot of things. Now see, number one, in this act, they introduced 246A. They introduced 246A. This 246A was introduced with this act, in which now, until now, services per, you only had the service tax of the center. States had no authority to impose tax on services. But for the first time, states are given this authority that you also can impose a service tax now. ठीक है ना, under GST. So states will be given the power to impose the tax. Not only that, मैं लिखाऊंगा, पहले समझो. तो पहली चीज क्या की इसमें हमने? States were given the authority to impose tax on services under GST. Number two, they also said that whenever a good is being, you have an interstate commerce, a good is being sold outside the state, यहाँ पर क्या लगता था? Central sales tax. उसकी जगह now यहाँ पर लगेगा integrated GST, IGST. IGST will be imposed on interstate commerce. And it's only the union government जो IGST लगा सकती है. State government has no role to impose IGST. ठीक है? Write down. States were given the power to tax goods as well as services. States were given the power to tax goods as well as services. But for interstate commerce, only the union can impose a tax in the form of integrated GST, IGST, in the form of IGST, subheading 269A, 269A. Now, this is Delhi, Hyderabad, interstate commerce हो रहा है. What are we going to impose? Integrated GST. Who will impose it? Union. So it's a union tax. Union tax goes to where? वो कहाँ जाता है? Consolidated Fund of India. From there, it is distributed with the states. What I told you about IGST there, that this tax will not be distributed according to the formula of Finance Commission. It will be distributed according to the formula of GST Council. Now see, IGST, if IGST is 18%, इस IGST के अंदर you have two things. आपका CGST है इसमें, center का अपना हिस्सा, let's suppose that is 9%, will be taken by the center, and state GST of 9%. So total for interstate commerce, you have 18% of IGST, 18% में 9% for the center, 9% for the state. But this state is going to be the destination state. अभी तक किसको देते थे हम? Exporting state. But it's a destination-based tax. Clear हुआ? And this distribution has been decided by whom? GST Council. This is your 269A. IGST will be distributed between union and states as per GST Council. उसके बाद number 3. Now whenever the sale etc. जो भी हो रहा है, sale हो रहा है, production हो रहा है, कुछ भी हो रहा है, whenever GST is imposed, GST has two things, CGST and SGST. For example, this is Delhi. Delhi में she is selling a product to him, या he is selling a product to me. अब यहाँ पर whenever you sell the product, GST पड़ेगा 18%, जिसमें CGST will be 9%, SGST will be 9% within Delhi only. So state GST will go to state only, and central GST will go to center. Now this is I'm talking about CGST. CGST जो है ये वाला हिस्सा, CGST, when collected by the center, will again be distributed between the union and the CGST जो center ने लिया. This central will again distribute it with the states. But यहाँ पर you have to remember, it will be according to the formula of Finance Commission. It's only IGST that is distributed according to GST Council. CGST is distributed according to Finance Commission. So that is your third provision, 270. So 270 mein what they've done, CGST will be distributed between union and the states as per Finance Commission. Because central, तो yes, union का tax है, you know, union के पास जा रहा है, union has to distribute it with the states. What is union? What do you understand by central government? Union क्या है? कोई जगह है जहां पर union है? Union is nothing. It's states only. States से मिलकर union बनता है. Now union को सारा पैसा state से मिलता है. They have to distribute it with the states. So if they are earning 100 crore, they'll have to distribute at least 40-50 crore with the states, because it's from the states only they're earning the money. ठीक है ना? Are you okay? So this was your 270. Number 4, you have 279A. उसमें फाइनेंस कमीशन का फॉर्मूला जो होता है, that's differently, इसको हम कहते हैं हॉरिजॉन्टल डिवोल्यूशन. अब आप यू डिसाइड, गोवा को ज्यादा पैसा मिलना चाहिए और यूपी को उनको ज्यादा मिलेगा. ठीक है ना? 279A. 279A is nothing. It's talking about the setting up of GST Council by President. So President will do it. President of India would appoint a constitutional body, GST Council, headed by, who heads the GST Council? Finance Minister. So President will appoint a constitutional body, GST Council. Finally, ये काफी interesting है, 366. Now see, you got all the goods and all the services into GST regime. There is one nation, one tax. आपने सारे taxes को इसके अंदर लेकर आए. All the goods and services are under GST. Now this is a state. कोई भी state है. Let's suppose this is बिहार. तो बिहार में the state government is told आप अब impose नहीं कर सकते, जो भी होगा अब GST के हिसाब से होगा. So whatever production is happening, GST पड़ेगा. Whatever sales is happening, if it is within Bihar, it will be your GST, CGST as GST. If it is outside Bihar, you have to impose IGST. IGST में फिर से CGST as GST हो जाएगा. Now GST के अंदर सब आ गया आपका. But states ने कहा कि देखो, this is a constitutional amendment bill and you require state ratification. और Bihar along with other states, they were of the opinion that हम तब GST मानेंगे when you do not touch liquor for human consumption. शराब को इसमें मत लाओ, बाकी जो करना है करो, because वहां से you get the maximum revenue along with some petrol, diesel, crude oil, aviation turbine fuel, natural gas. These are some commodities जिस पर आज भी state अपना excise लगाती है और state अपना VAT लगाता है. Today also, liquor for human consumption is mentioned in Article 366 that it is not under GST. तो liquor की production के ऊपर you'll have a state excise and liquor की sale के ऊपर you'll have a state VAT, and it's mentioned in the constitution. This was the condition by the states कि हम GST को ratify करेंगे, बस शराब इसमें मत लाओ आप, ठीक है? Because that gives the maximum, a huge revenue to the states. Alcohol for human consumption is kept out of GST. That is, state governments can continue to impose state excise on its production, state excise on its production, and state VAT on its sale.